Dr. Bojack from Atlanta Chiropractic in Stone, a master posture doctor. Today we're going to talk about neuroplasticity, okay, which is change your wiring. It's going to change your firing, okay. Neuroplasticity, okay, or brain plasticity, or neuroplasticity is changing your neural network in your brain, okay, by organization and growth. So you're changing the neural network by organization and growth. Okay, so one more time, right? Neuroplasticity is your neural network in your brain changing through growth and organization. Okay, so how do we use neuroplasticity in our workouts? So first and foremost, right, let's just start with, here's a weight, and you want to pick the weight up. So let's just say we're doing curls, okay? So first of all, right, my body is in relationship to the ground, and I'm standing on the ground, so my center of gravity is to the ground, right? Which is normal in all perceived activities, right? So I'm always standing on the ground. The premise of us using neuroplasticity is to take away your center of gravity, okay? So now we take this disc and we put this disc on the ground and we stand on the disc. Now what happens, okay? So now I'm losing my reference of center of gravity because I just took away the center of gravity, right? So now what's going on when my neurology, my mechanoreceptors, and my cerebellum and my reticular activating system is trying to find a center of gravity. And it makes it pretty challenging, right? Because what? I'm not on the ground, so there is no center of gravity. I'm on a disc, and the disc is constantly moving. So all of a sudden, we took away center of gravity. And once we took away center of gravity, what happened? The neurology had to start adapting. And because it started adapting, what did it start doing? It's trying to find information. And when it tries to find the information, it starts firing up these mechanoreceptors like crazy. And when it fires up the mechanoreceptors, now what happens? This neural network starts growing and what? Reorganizing. And once it starts growing and reorganizing, now we got some pliability. Right now we got some flex here. Okay? So, no center of gravity, center of gravity. Right? No center of gravity, center of gravity. So it's the same thing on these swoopers, right? So when you sit down on these swoopers, what's there? A spring? It's loaded, and what? There's no center of gravity to the ground. So when you sit on these guys, whoa, right? I can go one way, oh, I can go another way. I can go forward, I can go back, right? And I can even change the actual compression of how much push I'm sitting on. Okay? So in most instances, our reference and your neurological reference is always what? Center of gravity. We take away the center of gravity, we change the whole response of that neural network. Okay? And that neural network is in the brain, which is what? Pumping out messages, instructions, and directions of how this body's going to respond. Okay? So, right, I go to work my bicep muscles. I can stand on the ground and do curls, right? And I'm going to work what? I'm going to work this bicep muscle. Okay? But let's start thinking about this, right? Let's start creating a little more input. How are we going to do that? Well, you can what? You can do it in a machine, right? That doesn't have much input. But once we do what? Actual free weights, that creates a little more freedom, right? With the freedom creates what? Balance, right? in actual reference to the actual center of gravity, because now you got to balance that weight, and once you balance the weight, you're creating more mechanical receptor and better firing. Okay? So consequently, really, the best machine is no machine, right? Your free weights are the very best because it's going to create the most adaptation. Because not only do you have to work that actual weight, you have to balance that weight. Okay? In a machine, you don't have to worry about it, right? All you're doing is picking up, and it's already frozen in an actual movement for you. With a free weight, that movement isn't frozen, so it's creating more adaptation, and because there's more adaptation, you're going to fire up more fibers. Okay? So now, how about we take a free weight and we're doing curls? How about we step on this disc? Okay? Once we step on the disc, what happens? I take away center of gravity, right? Now I'm doing the exercise, right? I don't have a reference for center of gravity, so what do you think is going to happen? This neurology gets more confused, and when it gets confused, what? There's growth. Because what's going to happen, the mechanoreceptors are going to fire up more muscle tissue to make compensation. And because of the more firing of those mechanoreceptors and this neurology, it's going to fire up more muscle tissue. And more muscle tissue and more firing is going to create what? Greater contraction. Greater contraction is going to create what? Greater growth. Okay? So understand the whole philosophy here. So the more we can use these discs to take away the center of gravity, the more contraction of the muscle you're going to get. Okay? So you can put them on your feet, right? You can put them underneath your feet. How about if you're sitting, can you put it and can you sit on it? Sure you can, right? It's not as much compensation if it's on your versus on your feet, right? Because your feet are finding the center of gravity. If you're sitting, right, you still it's dynamic a little bit, right? But you're still using your feet for your center of gravity. Okay? So it's not as effective, but it is still effective to some extent. Okay? But the more imbalance you create, the more what? That neurology's got to change and grow and reorganize. And as soon as you put it in that situation, the greater growth you're going to get of the muscle. Right? And the more pliability you're going to get of the actual joints and of the tissue also. Okay? Because it has, what you're literally doing is taking that neurology out of its patterns. And again, anytime you you get out of your patterns, right, you create freedom. And that freedom allows you to what? Change, grow, and reorganize. Right? And the more we change, grow, and reorganize, the more we're going to expand. Okay? If you remember a tape previously, I said we're doing one or the other, right? We're either growing or we're constricting. We're either expanding or we're actually constricting. Right? So we're either moving forward or we're moving backwards. It's one or the other. So what do you think, right? If you're in these patterns, the more patterns you're in, the more you're moving backwards. You're not progressing, you're not maturing, right? You're not changing. The more you're getting out of the patterns, the more you're moving forward, because the more you're making changes, and the more you're reorganizing, and the more growth you're establishing. Okay? So that's the beauty of this life intelligence, right? It's always changing. The only thing that's constant is change. Okay? So what I'm trying to get you to understand is don't fight it, right? Surrender to it and utilize it. Because the more you can understand it, and the more you can grasp it, and the more you can use your change, the more progress you're going to make, and the more you're going to move forward versus going backwards. Okay? That's just not physically, that's mentally. Again, you're doing this not just for your physical application, right? Again, remember what I said in another previous YouTube clip that we did, right? These two guys are together. They work as one, brain and body, right? There's no difference. So the more you work your body, the more you work in your brain. And the more you work your brain, the more you work in the body. They're what? They're inseparable. So you're looking and working hard in that gym, or you're working hard doing exercises, whether it's in the gym or whether it's at your house, doesn't really matter, right? If you're doing it smart and you're doing it with a little savvy, you can make some great progress, right? And nobody gives this intelligence enough credit in regards to what its capacity is to do, provided you give it an environment to work in. And the more we provide the environment, the better it's going to respond. Okay, that's the whole point of this. So again, change isn't bad, change is good. Change is really good if you can direct your change to where you want it to be and where you want it to go for your progress. Okay? So again, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. So try it out. Try this dynamic positioning. Give it a shot. You don't have to work out all your exercise on it, but try it. You can get a disc on Amazon. You can get a disc at a clinic. Okay, get yourself a disc. Start playing with your references, right? If you're getting older in age and you have some actual balance situations, this is great stuff, right? You can even just assist yourself. Nobody says that you have to make it dangerous, right? You get up on one foot and balance, right? And if you can't balance anymore and you got to grab something, that's fine. Grab a table, grab a counter, grab a chair, okay? But the more you work this, you'll be surprised how much your balance is going to change, okay? And how your equilibrium is going to have more stability to it. Okay? You can do it one leg. You can do it both legs. You can do it standing upright. You can do it standing in a squat, right? There's all kinds of varieties you can do in order to work that. Okay? By the same token, right, you want to program a goal you got or something, it's the same thing, right? You're walking outside and you know what? Impress upon yourself. And if you're right-handed, use your left hand, right? It's something different. Your body's got to think about it to use the left hand versus the right hand. Right hand's automatic. You start thinking, this is you got to use your left hand, right? And how crazy that might be, right? You walk and maybe you skip one. Every other step you skip. So you got to think, and then you're programming yourself. Okay? That's being intelligence by using the actual workout to your benefit, right? So again, you can't work the neurology without working the physical aspect. We can't work the actual physical aspect without working the mental aspect. And the more more you get in there and do it, the more you're going to start understanding it. Okay? So, again, thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. We're going to do another clip, a lot more deliberate clip, practical clip on exercise and using neuroplasticity and using dynamics. Okay? Look forward to seeing you in our clinic. We'd love to check your posture. Give us a call at 781-GET-WELL, 781-438-9355. See you soon. Have a great day.